And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to the Alaska Weather Show, to the public weather segment that we put together. This is the general Alaska weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Saturday, July 8th, 2023, and I hope you are enjoying our modified format that we're using now on the new YouTube channel at NWS Alaska. And this has been part of that transition, and I want to remind everybody, a public comment period remains open through July 30th, so we'd like to hear from you. We'd be very interested to learn if you have any comments about the changes we've undergone here the past week. What are your current sources of weather and climate information? How do you get that information? What additional weather information would you like that is not available to you at this time? How do you receive your weather information? Do you get it through traditional radio, television? Do you use a cell phone with applications, the internet, and a computer, ham radio? However you receive information, we're curious to know. And if you have any suggestions, especially if you live out in a rural area, to reduce some of the coverage gaps, because communications across rural Alaska can be difficult. We just don't have the infrastructure in place. And we'd like to know what suggestions you might have that might help that. And what is the impact of replacing a traditional TV broadcast that you saw for many years with the help of Alaska Public Media with a web-based version that is being provided now? So please send your comments to nws.service-change-comments@noaa.gov. We want to hear your voice. This is an important opportunity for you to let us hear you, and you have until through July 30th to do so. If you have any other questions or concerns, you may reach out to carrie.haisley@noaa.gov and donald.moore@noaa.gov. Another source of weather information you might check out online if you have access through the internet or cell phone is weather.gov. It'll bring you to a map of the continental U.S. This is the National Weather Service's online presence. If you click anywhere on this map, including that of Alaska, Hawaii, and these tabs for the various territories, it'll give you a forecast with any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories, and much more. On the weather map this Saturday afternoon, a few things of note come out. We have flood watches out for much of the Northeast into the almost mid-Atlantic region. Weather heat advisories, southern Florida into Texas, southern New Mexico. Severe thunderstorm watches for the high plains east of the Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico Rockies. And then back here, excessive heat warnings and red flag warnings for critical fire weather conditions. This area is going to be of special note coming up for the next week, 2 weeks. We have a very significant heat wave that will be developing here through the middle of July. Some temperatures, places like Phoenix, could hit 120 degrees, as could even Las Vegas, flirting with that. Death Valley could be up near 130 degrees, so this is a very dangerous heat wave that'll be taking shape over the next week to 2 weeks in this region. So stay tuned to later forecasts. You're going to hear more about that in the news. Here in Alaska, we have some higher water levels on creeks and rivers in the eastern Brooks Range due to some heavier downpours associated with some areas of rain and isolated thunderstorms. That should begin to wind down tonight and on Sunday. A flood watch continues on the Chilkat River in the northern panhandle due to snowmelt and also some glacial ice melt with the very warm temperatures the past couple of days that have occurred across the panhandle. Wet and cool weather will continue across much of the southwest and western mainland the rest of this weekend into early next week. And the panhandle is going to have a drier pattern, though the heat will begin to at least cool down here, at least a little cooler temperatures Sunday and into next week. So it will not be as hot there across the panhandle as it was the past couple of days. Looking at a few of the FAA webcams, Arctic Village, some scattered showers. You can see in the background the thick cumulus buildups of a heavier shower or even an isolated thunderstorm. 54 degrees, that area of the Brooks Range having, again, some higher water levels because of these showers and areas of rain producing some heavier downpours. Anvik, socked in under cloud cover with light rain and fog, 50 degrees, cool temperatures. Another bout of rain will be moving in there later tonight and for Sunday, overspreading areas along Norton Sound, traveling all the way up through Kotzebue and the western Brooks Range. Very soggy pattern there will continue late this weekend and early next week. Back further east, Eagle was 91 degrees on Friday afternoon, a little cooler this afternoon, probably top out in the low 80s, partly cloudy as of early afternoon, 70. And then in the northern panhandle, Skagway, sunny skies, 73. Yesterday, Friday afternoon, Haines Custom near the Canadian border hit 91. Juneau was 85 degrees for the warmest temperature there so far this summer. And all those warm temperatures in the panhandle have created the snow melt from the higher elevations, causing creeks and smaller rivers there to also have some notable rises. And as a result, a flood watch remains in effect for the Chilkat River through Sunday afternoon. For the potential, there could still be some minor flooding as a result of all of this snowmelt runoff. Back further north and east, the Brooks Range, that flood watch is in effect till early Sunday morning. The bulk of the rain is lifting now northeastward out of this area, so the creek and river levels have about crested. They should begin to slowly fall as we get into later Sunday and early next week. And then here in the Susitna Valley, a lot of rain fell this past week, especially Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, caused the number of streams there to have significant water rises, impacting recreation such as canoeing, kayaking, and fishing. Good news is the water levels through the Susitna Valley should begin to recede the rest of this weekend into early next week. Fire danger in most areas of the state is very low, especially look how much of the mainland. Last year, it was the exact opposite of this. We had extreme fire danger this time of year before the rains really set in, because this was just at the beginning of that really rainy period where it finally broke the extremes of the fire danger. We still have very high fire danger along the Alcan border up to Tanana Valley, and also areas of the upper Copper River Basin have very high fire danger. So keep that in mind if you are doing any recreating or thinking about any sort of outdoor burning there. On the satellite imagery, a ridge of high pressure sits here over the Gulf, especially the eastern part of the Gulf. Back to the west, we have various waves of low pressure. One is lifting northeastward now out of the Brooks Range. Still some rain wrapped around that feature that's lifting north and east and will be diminishing as we go into Sunday morning and afternoon. Here to the west, here comes the next surge of moisture with a low pressure that's going to be moving into the southwestern coast, and that moisture will then spread northeastward from the Kuskokwim up through the lower Yukon Valley, and then along and surrounding Norton Sound, the eastern Seward, Kotzebue Sound, western Brooks Range. By later Sunday afternoon, evening, and nighttime, that rain will have worked its way from here all the way up to there. Very wet pattern here to close out the weekend and for early next week for areas of the west. And really, there's not been a lot of change in this pattern. This is something that initially set up way back late last winter, and we've been more or less stuck in this pattern with low pressure over the Bering and North Pacific bringing moisture in with south-southwest flow aloft. It's kept areas of south central, the western Gulf, all the way back through here very wet, whereas the Panhandle is enjoying some drier and warmer weather. At least the heat in the Panhandle will be winding down. We have the ridge of high pressure this Saturday afternoon, surface high pressure center just south of the Gulf. Here comes the next couple of areas of low pressure moving into the southwest, bringing more rain, especially later tonight and on Sunday. This low that's brought cloud cover and rain and some embedded heavier downpours, that's going to be lifting further northeastward across the Beaufort Sea. And late tonight into Sunday morning, here comes the next low and through the southwest. So this is just feeding the moisture into the areas that have just been cloudy, cool, and wet all springtime long and early summer. Here's the high out over just south of the Gulf. This high is going to not be quite as strong or exert as much influence. The areas that are going to really see the warm to hot weather will be along the Alcan border, especially around Eagle, Northway as we go through Sunday afternoon. And on Monday, high temperatures of 85 to near 90 will be possible there. That's the real summer weather in the state. Meanwhile, even back through Monday, we have troughs of low pressure and a couple of weaker lows just lingering from just off the northwest Arctic coast all the way down to north of the Alaska Peninsula. And so it's just going to keep temperatures down there. We expect lows, low mid 50s across the Panhandle tonight into Sunday morning, upper 40s near 50, maybe even as cool as 43 at Glen Allen. But with the sunshine there, upper Copper River Basin at Glen Allen could be 76 for one of the warmer spots in south central Sunday afternoon. 60s and a few lower 70s in the Panhandle. Monday morning lows, maybe not quite as cool as what they were Sunday morning, generally upper 40s to lower mid 50s. And then temperatures, not all that warm again because some more cloud cover is going to be coming up from the southwest and overspreading south central northern Gulf. If you get some sun up there at Glen Ellen, 75, that'll be one of the warmer temperatures in the southern parts of the state. Lows generally along the Yukon River at or just above 50, 40s for the areas of the Seward Peninsula, northwest coast, a few 30s showing up along the Arctic coast. Temperatures Sunday afternoon, warmest east central 70s to lower 80s. A few spots could be 85 to near 90 even starting Sunday afternoon, more likely Monday. And then low temperatures Monday morning, 40s in the far north, common down through the west through the Seward Peninsula surrounding Norton Sound. But back here through the Yukon River, lower to maybe middle 50s with warmest temperatures, some 80 plus degree to near 90 degree readings along the Alcan border. Continued rather cool across the western side of the state with highs at best upper 40s to middle 50s. Sunday morning lows in the southwest interior, upper 40s to near 50 with more rain overspreading the region. Mid upper 40s across the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Sunday afternoon, we're not looking for temperatures, maybe squeak out a 60 at King Salmon. Otherwise, everybody else just stays in the 50s with a cloud cover, either occasional showers or areas of rain. Monday morning, same thing, same temperatures, upper 40s to near 50 degrees, and then not really getting out of the 50s here throughout the southwest interior. Maybe 60-ish there, again, around King Salmon, but otherwise back through the Aleutians, highs, and the Alaska Peninsula, highs generally in the 50s. So a quick check of the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, July 14th through the 18th, near and just past the middle of July. There is some hope we could see warmer temperatures than what we've been experiencing here in the mainland. Continued above normal potential there for the Panhandle. And that would signal that perhaps a ridgier pattern will develop that could allow things to be a little warmer and drier than they have been. So with that in place, the potential for near normal precipitation would exist along the Alaska Peninsula, through the Alaska Range southward and through the Panhandle, and maybe precipitation averaging just a bit above normal along and especially north of the Yukon River. So at least there is some hope for a little warmer weather here by mid-month. Otherwise, the west and southwest, the rest of this weekend and early next week is going to stay generally cloudy and cool with occasional bouts of rain.